Hello, everyone. Good morning to you, and hope this next couple of hours is useful and fruitful for you. So, so the first presentation is, of course, about how do you prepare your supply chain for digital business. Okay, and I'm trying to lay the foundation for the rest of the sessions. But so when we talk about digital business, when I go around talking to people, we see a lot of misconception or misunderstanding about digital business. So the first slide that I'm going to share with you is to show you what digital business is not, and you probably know this, but just to frame that that digital business is not digitalizing your business essentially, because if you're digitalizing your business, you are essentially making the same things or even the mistakes or the limitations of the current system. You're just making it faster. Okay, so it's not just digitalizing the current business. To me, digital business has a completely different meaning altogether. So what I'm going to share with you today, what essentially, in my opinion, is digital business, and I'm sure some of you would definitely agree with you with this. Secondly, I'm going to share with you, how supply chains can act and how supply chains can help enhancing digital business, and what are some of the capabilities that companies need to develop in order to get into real digital business. So, so what essentially is digital business? So, in my opinion, a digital business has three essential components. It has to be solution centric. So, the primary premise of digital business is companies need to move from a product centric focus to a solution centric focus to deliver enhanced customer value through process innovation. So if you see this, I've highlighted three key words or key phrases: solution-centric, customer value, and process innovation. So these are the three essential elements. Yes, IoT, yes, technology definitely will be there, but those are essential elements that help you to do those three things. So the primary objective of digital business is how do I create a completely different set of offering, primarily solution based, that creates enhanced customer value or provides a extended customer value to the customer through process innovation. So why is it process innovation? Because you just can't digitalize existing processes and expect a different result. Okay, so give you some examples. Let's say BMW teleservices. I'm sure you've heard about this. So they are monitoring the health of the car and health of the system to proactively schedule maintenance or service appointments for the car owners. Okay, so it's about making sure that the customers have the highest availability of the device or the equipment that they have. Similar case with Navistar on command. Same thing. The first one is more of a B2C. The second one is B2B. But the objective is the same, that how do I leverage technology? How do I leverage new processes? How do I orchestrate services in a way to give a better value to the customer in the form of higher availability of their equipment, right? And to do that, they had to do all those three things. Solution-centric, they are no longer selling products, they are selling a solution, a peace of mind, something that has enhanced value over the basic product. Okay. Secondly, they are creating new customer value or showing that customers can actually leverage these services to get enhanced value from their products and services. And finally, they had to orchestrate new processes. The old existing processes could not support this new business model. They had to create new processes. They had to orchestrate new services through innovations to enable that. So this is, in my opinion, is digital business. It's not just digitalizing the existing supply chain. Now, of course, technology is playing a big part in this. You see the smart machines, you see the 3D printing, Internet of Things. You do see, there's big data analytics. So technology is playing a big part of it, because a big part of this digital business is how do I collect relevant, timely information to make better decisions so that I can help my customers with a new offering. An example of this is higher interconnected factory. This is an example from Asia. So in their Nanjing factory, they actually, and I'm sure all of you know Hire, in the Nanjing factory, they actually allow customers or end users to configure their products digitally over the internet, and then that flows through the entire manufacturing cycle, and the customer can track this entire manufacturing cycle until they get this product delivered at their doorstep. And this whole thing has a huge amount of new service orchestrations and processes that run in the background with their suppliers, with their design partners, with their logistics providers to enable this thing. So it's not just getting the customer or offering the customer a customizable product, but this entire service that from an end-to-end customizing and tracking until the last mile is the service that they're offering. And of course, it leverages all those technologies, the Internet of Things, the smart machines, and everything that the technology space offers today. They're leveraging all of that. Let me take another example, Amazon. I'm sure at some point in time, everybody in this room has used Amazon. Now, if you look at their business model and how they progressed, right? When they started way back in the 90s, they started with a simple web page to extend their reach. They're selling stuff over the internet, and they just wanted to make people know of that. Yeah, we are here, we are selling, and we are disruptive. We are making a new business model so that you can order things over the internet, right? So at that point in time, their primary objective was, how do I reach out to more and more people through the new found technology of this internet and make a new business model rather disruptive. Now, when you actually go onto an Amazon site and look for something, let's say search for a book or some stuff there, I'm sure you've noticed that at the bottom of the page, they started, they will tell you, okay, customers who bought this product also bought this, right? So basically, from an e-commerce where the fulfillment was the primary objective, and how do I, fulfill deliver the products at the lowest cost and as quickly as possible, they now started cross-selling and upselling their products, through analytics. And they use complex algorithms, not only just demographics, but all the data that they have from their system. So that enabled them to get onto digital marketing. It's still not digital business, in my opinion, okay? So it's just about how do they leverage the data to cross-sell and upsell their products so that they get more revenue and better customer loyalty. And finally, when they actually got onto this digital business stuff, they have started leveraging the technology like IoT. So they have this Prime Air, drone delivery. They are looking at Kiva robots, where in the warehouses, the picker do not go physically to the place to pick, but the robots actually go and and get the pallet to the picking station, where the person actually picks it from the pallet brought to them by the robot, and after the pick is done, the robot then puts it away, right? So this is to ensure that they have a better turnaround and better accuracy of picking, okay? So that's what I call this digital business. Now, they have combined everything. They moved from a web-based, just a web presence, which was to extend the reach, to a digital business through leveraging technology and the available resources to create a solution-centric approach to provide better customer value. And from day one, the company was built, or the business was built on three key principles: lowest cost, better choice, and convenience. Okay, the three C's, right? And as you see through this progression, or through this journey, they have actually enhanced all the three C's. Cost has come down, people have better choice, more choices, and people are getting, they're getting more, the services are getting more convenient to use. Now, what can supply chain do now? What are the capabilities that supply chain needs to build in order to support such a business model, right? So we are talking about, the supply chain focus. Initially, it was, how do I provide access? How do I disseminate information that I have and that I need the customer to know? So that was the primary focus for this area. So when they were in the web domain. Then from the e-business, when they moved to a proper e-business model, e-commerce model, how do they transform the channels? That was, of course, the business priority. how could they be disruptive, okay? But the capabilities that they needed to build is order fulfillment capability and how can I serve my customer at the lowest cost. So they needed to know what is my cost to serve my customer. And when they started influencing your decisions by telling, okay, people who bought this also bought this, with a view to, with an objective of upselling and cross-selling, what they needed to do was to segment their customers, understand customer priorities by demographics and various other things, and then shape the demand based on that segmentation, right? So that was the essential supply chain capability that needed to build in order to support the digital marketing business. And finally, of course, with the newfound, the new digital business paradigm, they are looking at, okay, how can I provide enhanced value? Even if you're not at home, can I deliver at your, the boot of your car, okay? Things like that are coming, of course. So these are things that are developing, and supply chain definitely need to be able to add value to that and create those. Now, when we look at supply chain to, or go from a supply chain or digital supply chain, what are some of the capabilities, okay? So some of the digital capabilities, of course, early days, all you needed was to integrate stuff, okay? You had B2B integration and web services and stuff like that. You could connect to partners and customers. Whereas, multi-channel order management, how do I electronically know how can I have visibility of what's going on from an end-to-end supply chain perspective? And of course, digital marketing involved a heavy analytics bit, both predictive and prescriptive. And finally, they started leveraging, big data, AI, machine learning, all these technologies definitely will, either they're using it today or they should be using it very soon. And companies are leveraging this to enhance the capability to serve their customer better and to create better value for their customers. Now, if you look at how, if you ask me how companies should go about designing a digital business model, so a lot of companies, unfortunately, when I talk to a lot of supply chain practitioners, they say, okay, let's look at the supply chain model and see, what capabilities we have and how can I create a digital business model out of those capabilities, right? But in my opinion, it should start with the business model first, and I'll show you an example shortly. It should start with what value are you trying to provide to your customers, not that what capabilities that I have which can be used to create value, right? Start whether or not you have the capability does not limit your ability to create a business model or a digital business model. So companies should look at the business model first, create the supply chain operating model next, and then leverage technology to enable that supply chain operating model. And that should be the progression. So an example would be, let's say somebody like Navistar or BMW. So Navistar, for example, if you want to make sure that you have the highest availability of your the trucks for your customers, okay, so that's your value proposition. That's the digital business model that you are to really provide. And then the capabilities that need to build is how do I predict failures? How do I orchestrate service? So if I understand that something is going wrong inside the truck, how do I quickly analyze my service network and schedule the appointment with the service center so that the truck can be taken to the nearest service center and all the spare parts for that repair is ready at that, available at that service center. So how do I orchestrate that service? And finally then, okay, what sensors do I need? What analytic capability do I need? What are the algorithms that I need to build in order to understand the failure rate or in order to understand when a particular thing is going to fail? Okay, so this is how it should be. You start from the business model first. What value, what solution you are trying to provide to your customers, and then work backwards to create that supply chain operating model, and then use technology to enable that supply chain operating model. Now, as companies move from a traditional business to a digital business, the supply chain actually, the capabilities also evolved. Like in the analog world, I'm not talking about that. So in the digitalized supply chain, right, the processes that impacted the digitalized supply chain, that means you're trying to basically digitalize existing processes, your plan, source, make, deliver, and those capabilities then needed to be digitalized. Then you went to from a digitalized supply chain to a digital supply chain. We are looking at cross-functional capabilities, although still internally focused, but still cross-functional focus, which involve SNOP, IBP, multi-channel, end-to-end visibility, global logistics. Okay, so these are the processes that were impacted when, or uh, uh, would be impacted if you decide to go from a digitalized supply chain to a digital supply chain. And of course, now we start looking at value. How do I create value? Okay, so how do I create customer value? How do I do segmentation? How do I do demand shape, sensing and shaping? And these are the processes that will get impacted. And finally, when you're looking at digital ecosystem, you're looking at networks, you're looking at hubs, you're looking at industry networks with your partners and customers, so that you are basically there to provide enhanced value, not for just your company, but for the ecosystem as a whole. So these are the processes, remember, will get impacted when you move from a digitalized supply chain slowly towards a digital business. Now, when you were at the digitalized supply chain, you were probably using ERP, MRP, WMS, TMS. These are the basic applications that you needed to enable that. Now, when we are talking about digital supply chain, we needed certain enhanced capabilities like agile planning. We are talking about optimization. We want visibility. We are implementing control towers. So in a way to get kind of a predictive approach to supply chain and predictive approach to our decisions. Now, as we move from digital supply chain to a digital value chain, which extends beyond the four walls of your company, you start looking at IoT, smart machines. How can you get information from the field and bring those information into your system and create kind of a prescriptive view of what might happen and what you should be doing should that happens. And finally, of course, I don't think a lot of companies are there yet, but a lot of companies are experimenting with that to develop cognitive capabilities, real-time analytics, and decision making without a human touch. Okay, so that's that. If you look at the footprint of this as you move through this journey, initially the digitalized supply chain was purely functionally focused. From there, you moved on to a cross-functional domain. Finally, you went outside your four walls and started seeing, creating some demand-driven capabilities, collaborative capabilities, and finally, it's extended enterprise, where basically you're not looking at your own company, you're not looking at your own ecosystem, but ecosystems outside of your system. For example, like Dow Chemical, they have created an ecosystem with different partners, different players to improve the yield for the farmers. And just Dow Chemical doesn't provide the entire thing, but they have actually created this kind of offering that helps. The ultimate objective is how to help the farmers to have a better crop yield. Finally, this digital journey is not simple, of course, and in different companies, this digital business journey has met with different levels of successes. And the primary reason is that different companies are at different levels of maturity in terms of their capability, in terms of their organization, and in terms of their processes. So there are companies which are like very basic, ad hoc. Anything that they want to do digitally, it's purely ad hoc. Okay, our customers ask us, okay, just do that, right? A customer asked me to integrate their processes. Let's just build a hub or a B2B node to connect with that. Those are very, very siloed, not managed, no process documentation, and very, very little executive support. Okay, and then the next level is, of course, the basic level. You have some sort of an understanding what potential digital business would look like for your company. I have got limited executive support. They started defining the processes. Okay, these are the basic things or the building blocks we would need to put in place in order to enable this digital business, with a view to repeat those across the enterprise if need be. But still, it's very operational and with limited scale. The third level, which is the absolute must for any company to achieve before they actually look at a good digital business strategy, is cross-functional capability. Because a digital business does not involve only one function, but you need to have cross-functional integration, end-to-end supply chain integration across functions in the plan, source, make, deliver, to be able to provide that solution to the customer, which creates customer value. So that process innovation I was talking about actually comes here. How do you build cross-functional processes that actually work towards a single objective, that the customer is the center of my universe? And I'm going to provide value to the customer, and in the bargain, of course, we will gain, but ultimately, the primary objective is how do I provide that enhanced service and value to the customer. And the next stage, which I think is, I would say, maybe 5–10% of the companies are there, it's a competitive capability. I would say probably Amazon is there, where right into the DNA of the company, this digital business is inbuilt, right? So it runs into the DNA of the company. And they have very, very strong executive ownership. They have externally focused metrics as opposed to internally focused metrics for the developing stage. And they measure not by their own success, but the success of this entire the chain, I mean, external customers and partners, okay? And it receives the executive actually has a very, very strong support, and these companies are likely to succeed most in this business. And then finally, it's when you're in the level 5, that's kind of a nirvana, where it's no longer, you don't ask the question whether we should be digitally doing our business or we should be going to a digital business. Is basically the company owns that process entirely. Okay, they have and not only they themselves benefit from it, they want to make the entire ecosystem benefit from this. Okay, and how do you create a network of systems or an ecosystem of companies where everybody contributes to the success and everybody benefits in the bargain? And of course, there'll be somebody who is a supply chain leader who drives this. For example, the Dow Chemical example is given. There are many other examples like that. Companies are trying to create those ecosystems with a chain master or a primary company that is driving this whole thing. But ultimately, the entire ecosystem benefits to the last mile. That means the farmers themselves get benefited as part of this. Okay, and it will, of course, it will most likely have a bigger social and economic impact, because we are spanning multiple companies, we are spanning a wide range of enterprises that serve different parts of the society and the economy. So, and embedded innovation is, again, the DNA of this stage 5. That means you don't think about whether you want to innovate. You see, yeah, just go about it. Let's try this. If it works, fine. If it doesn't, then we'll do something else. So nobody asks questions that, okay, whether we should innovate or not, whether we have some budget for innovation or not, right? Probably they have some chief innovation officer, right? At this stage, they will have like chief digital officer, okay, at stage 3. But here, probably they'll have some chief innovation officer, or a CIO has got 2 roles. One is like 20% of his time is spent on keeping the lights on and running the existing business, but 80% could be on innovation, right? So that's kind of a stage 5. I don't know of a company that's there yet, but that's the kind of nirvana that we are looking at. So the primary change in focus is when you are in the lower stages of maturity, you're still thinking of products, you're still thinking of your outcome of your internally focused metrics. But when you are at the higher levels, you're looking at solutions, customer value. So these are the things. So there's a change in mindset that needs to happen from an inside out to an outside in view, if you really want to go from this the lower stages of maturity to higher stages of maturity. Okay, so that's the reason why, even if with all the good intentions and the resources and the support that they have, some companies succeed, some companies do not. It's because of this. There are different stages of maturity. So the objective will be, how can we get the companies from a lower stage of maturity to a higher stage of maturity first, before, or at least simultaneously, as they are taking this digital journey, right? Thank you so much, and that kind of
Thank you.
presentation. Thank you.